5 Champions League trophies as a manager, 2 as a player. No one in football history has more European Cup winners' medals than Carlo Ancelotti. But how did a midfielder from a small Italian town transform into the most successful Champions League coach ever? Today, we're revealing the tactical genius behind the calm exterior, and why even the world's biggest superstars consider him the ultimate boss. What makes a great player become an extraordinary manager? For Carlo Ancelotti, the journey began in the small town of Reggio, Italy, where his love for football first took root. Born into a family of dairy farmers, Ancelotti's path to football greatness wasn't paved with silver spoons. His father worked in the production of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese, instilling in young Carlo the values of discipline and persistence that would later define his career. As a player, Ancelotti rose through the ranks at Parma before establishing himself as an intelligent midfielder at Roma, under the tutelage of Swedish coach Nils Lidholm. It was Lidholm who first recognized Ancelotti's tactical understanding, often consulting him about game strategy despite his young age. This early responsibility planted the seeds for his future managerial career, as he developed an appreciation for the psychological aspects of leadership. The pinnacle of Ancelotti's playing career came at AC Milan, where he became a vital component of Arrigo Sacchi's revolutionary side. Under Sacchi, Milan implemented an aggressive pressing system that transformed European football. Ancelotti wasn't the most technically gifted player, but his positional awareness and tactical intelligence made him indispensable in Sacchi's system. As part of this legendary Milan team, Ancelotti lifted 2 European Cups, experiencing the highest level of club success, knowledge that would serve him well in his managerial future. However, when Ancelotti hung up his boots and stepped into management at Reggiana in 1995, the transition was far from smooth. His early coaching approach revealed a surprising rigidity, especially for someone who would later become celebrated for his adaptability. At Reggiana and later Parma, Ancelotti stubbornly adhered to a rigid 4-4-2 formation, seemingly determined to implement Sacchi's tactical principles regardless of the personnel at his disposal. This inflexibility had tangible consequences. Perhaps most notably, during his time at Parma, Ancelotti's commitment to his system led to one of the biggest missed opportunities of his early career. When presented with the chance to sign Roberto Baggio, one of Italy's most creative talents, Ancelotti declined, believing the mercurial playmaker wouldn't fit his structured approach. "I didn't want to change my system for him," Ancelotti later admitted, a decision that highlighted his tactical stubbornness. The contrast between Ancelotti, the adaptive player, and Ancelotti, the rigid young manager, was striking. On the pitch, he had demonstrated remarkable game intelligence, adjusting to various roles for different managers. Yet in his early coaching days, this flexibility vanished, replaced by an almost dogmatic adherence to tactical principles he had absorbed from Sacchi. These early struggles, however, proved invaluable. After being dismissed from Parma, despite a respectable second-place finish, Ancelotti faced a critical juncture in his development. The humbling experience forced him to reconsider his approach to management. He began to understand that imposing a system without considering the strengths of his players was a fundamental flaw in his philosophy. This period of reflection led to Ancelotti's first significant evolution as a manager. He started to blend the tactical rigor he had learned from Sacchi with the more player-focused approach from Lidholm. From the former, he maintained the importance of organization and collective movement. From the latter, he embraced the value of trusting players' intelligence and adapting systems to maximize talent. This synthesis created the foundation for his future success. Ancelotti began to develop what would become his trademark, an ability to maintain tactical discipline while allowing creative freedom within structured frameworks. He learned to build systems around his players rather than forcing players into predetermined systems, a philosophy that would later help him navigate the complexities of managing superstar-laden squads. The Christmas tree formation that bloomed under Ancelotti at Milan wasn't created in a moment of tactical brilliance. It was born from necessity after harsh criticism. In 2001, when Ancelotti arrived at AC Milan, club president Silvio Berlusconi immediately labelled his approach as too defensive. This criticism would spark one of the most fascinating tactical transformations in modern football history. Faced with this challenge, Ancelotti didn't simply tweak his system, he reimagined it entirely. His most consequential decision was converting Andrea Pirlo from an attacking midfielder to a deep-lying playmaker. This seemingly simple positional shift revolutionized Milan's play, allowing Pirlo to orchestrate attacks from deeper positions with his exceptional vision and passing range. The move created the foundation for what would become Ancelotti's signature innovation at Milan, the 4-3-2-1 Christmas tree formation. This tactical evolution positioned a lone striker supported by two attacking midfielders, with Pirlo operating as the creative fulcrum from deep. The formation's brilliance lay in how it maximised the specific talents within Milan's squad. The midfield was restructured into a diamond that unlocked the creative potential of players like Clarence Seedorf and Kaká, who thrived in the spaces behind the striker. The effectiveness of Ancelotti's tactical adaptation was dramatically validated in the 2003 Champions League final against Juventus. Under immense pressure, his in-game decisions proved pivotal as Milan secured victory through penalties, demonstrating that his tactical flexibility could deliver at the highest level. This triumph wasn't just a victory, it was vindication at Ancelotti's adaptable philosophy. What's remarkable about Ancelotti's career is how this pattern of tactical adaptation repeated across different leagues and eras. At Chelsea, he implemented a 4-4-2 diamond formation that unleashed the team's attacking potential to devastating effect. The results were historic, a record 103 goals scored in the 2009-10 Premier League season and a domestic double. Rather than imposing a rigid system, Ancelotti again shaped his tactics around the strength of his squad. This approach continued at Paris Saint-Germain, where Ancelotti's tactical adjustments led the club to its first Ligue 1 title in 19 years. His ability to craft systems that maximised the impact of star players like Zlatan Ibrahimovic demonstrated his rare gift for tactical adaptation across different football cultures. Perhaps his most impressive tactical masterclass came at Real Madrid, where he modified the team's formation from a 4-2-3-1 to a 4-3-3. This change allowed Angel Di Maria to flourish in a new role as a left-sided central midfielder, contributing significantly to the team's success. The tactical acumen behind these decisions was dramatically showcased in the 2014 Champions League semi-finals, where Madrid demolished Bayern Munich 5-0 on aggregate. Years later, during his second spell at Madrid, Ancelotti again demonstrated his evolutionary approach by creating a specialised role for Jude Bellingham that balanced creative freedom with defensive responsibility. This tactical innovation proved instrumental to Madrid's success in the 2023-24 season. What emerges from studying Ancelotti's career is that unlike managers who built their legacy around a signature system, think Guardiola's positional play or Klopp's gegenpress, Ancelotti's greatest strength is his chameleon-like ability to adapt. He doesn't force square pegs into round holes. Instead, he studies his players' strengths and designs systems that maximize their potential. This rare flexibility explains why Ancelotti has succeeded across different eras and leagues. While football has evolved dramatically from 2003 to 2023, Ancelotti's approach of building around players rather than forcing them into predetermined structures has remained consistently effective. It's not just that he adapts, it's that adaptation itself is his philosophy. Adaptation might be Ancelotti's tactical philosophy, but it's his leadership, earning him the nickname Don Carlo in Spain that truly distinguishes him from his peers. While managers like Guardiola and Mourinho construct construct elaborate tactical frameworks that players must conform to, Ancelotti has mastered the art of building systems around his players' strengths instead. This fundamental difference in approach explains why his teams consistently perform at their peak when Champions League pressure intensifies. The criticism has followed him throughout his career that he's merely a nice guy or just a man manager, lacking the tactical sophistication of his contemporaries. This criticism fundamentally misunderstands what makes Ancelotti special. His calm demeanor isn't weakness, it's a strategic choice that creates an environment where players feel simultaneously supported and challenged. Unlike the micromanagers prowling touchlines across Europe, Ancelotti's authority comes not from controlling every moment, but from earning genuine respect. The evidence comes directly from those who've played under him. Andrea Pirlo, whose career transformation under Ancelotti became legendary, openly credited the manager for changing his trajectory. "Ancelotti changed my career." This wasn't just about tactical repositioning, it reflected Ancelotti's ability to see potential where others didn't and create the conditions for that potential to flourish. Similarly, Thiago Alcantara highlighted the liberation he experienced, noting that Ancelotti encouraged more direct, vertical play while giving players freedom to express themselves on the pitch. This balance between tactical direction and player autonomy creates something rare in elite football: genuine buy-in from superstar talents. Where other managers might clash with established stars, Ancelotti has consistently built harmonious dressing rooms filled with world-class egos. Luka Modric has specifically praised this quality, emphasizing how crucial this harmony becomes when managing players of exceptional talent. Rather than imposing his will through fear or control, Ancelotti establishes clear expectations while giving players agency in execution. What's particularly remarkable is how this leadership style translates to high-pressure Champions League moments. When tension mounts in knockout stages, teams led by autocratic managers sometimes tighten up, becoming more risk-averse and less creative. In contrast, Ancelotti's players exhibit remarkable composure in these moments. His calm demeanor on the sideline, rarely demonstrative, never panicked, transmits directly to his squad. The result is teams that make clear-headed decisions precisely when the stakes are highest. The communication style underpinning this success strikes a unique balance. Ancelotti delivers tactical instructions with clarity, but without overwhelming detail. He understands intuitively that overloading players with information can paralyze their natural instincts. Instead, he focuses on key principles, trusting players' game intelligence to apply them appropriately. This trust fundamentally changes the dynamic between manager and squad. Players don't simply follow orders, they become invested partners in the collective project. Critics might argue this approach only works with established teams already stocked with talent. Yet Ancelotti's success across radically different club cultures, from the tactical sophistication of Italy to the direct intensity of England to the technical brilliance of Spain, demonstrates the universal effectiveness of his leadership philosophy. He doesn't simply inherit great teams, he elevates them beyond their previous ceiling, particularly in Europe's premier competition. This elevation happens because Ancelotti creates environments where players perform their best precisely when it matters most. The freedom he provides isn't unlimited, it exists within a framework of accountability and shared purpose. The calm he projects isn't passive, it's an active force that steadies teams during turbulent moments. The trust he extends isn't naive, it's conditional on players embracing their responsibilities to the collective. When we look at Carlo Ancelotti's unprecedented Champions League success, the numbers tell an extraordinary story. His remarkable 74.79% win percentage in the competition reveals a manager who thrives in football's most pressure-filled moments. While we've traced his evolution from player to tactical innovator to leadership maestro, perhaps his greatest achievement is maintaining relevance across multiple eras of the sport. The football world unanimously considers Ancelotti among the greatest managers in history, not simply for his trophy cabinet, but for how he's attained that success. He's recently expressed ambition to extend his Champions League record, further demonstrates that his appetite for glory remains undiminished. What ultimately separates Ancelotti isn't tactical dogma or motivational theatrics, but rather his unique ability to synthesize football intelligence with profound human understanding, creating champions across generations.